Hello, and welcome to Direct Approach with Wayne Moorhead, an exclusive podcast by DSN filled with candid and insightful conversations with leading corporate executives about today's evolving direct sales channel. On this episode, Wayne interviews Roger Morgan, the founder and CEO of pawTree, a holistic pet nutrition company with an affiliate-based business opportunity. Roger launched pawTree in 2014 by combining two passionate and powerful industries, the $100 billion pet industry and the $40 billion direct selling social selling industry. Today, pawTree has over 2,000 affiliates in all 50 states and has won numerous awards, including being named an Inc.'s 5,000 fastest growing company. With an impressive business background, including an MBA from Harvard Business School and working with the Boston Consulting Group and Walt Disney Imagineering, Roger shares why he initially chose direct selling for pawTree. Roger also talks about their cutting-edge strategies to attract and retain the next generation of sellers, the power of open-mindedness, and the art of experimentation and adaptation. Before we begin, we want to invite direct selling corporate executives to register for the in-person Fall DSU event on Wednesday, October 11th and Thursday, October 12th in Irving, Texas. DSU is the channel's largest executive-attended event, and it is a 2-day masterclass packed with cutting-edge insights, strategies, and game-changing ideas from more than 30 industry executives and subject matter experts. Don't miss the opportunity to connect with future-focused executives and gain valuable insights on today's must-know topics that can change how you think about the industry, your business, and success. And thanks to the generosity of DSN supporter companies and event supplier sponsors, DSU is free to all active corporate direct selling executives. Register now at dsu2023.com and secure your spot today. Now, please help me welcome your host, Wayne Moorhead, and today's guest, Roger Morgan, founder and CEO of pawTree.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of DSN's Direct Approach podcast. I am your host, Wayne Moorhead, and today I'm joined by a direct selling leader that has a truly incredible business background. In addition to earning an MBA from Harvard Business School, he's held strategy positions at BCG, which is Boston Consulting Group, Walt Disney Imagineering, and KPMG, where he's also obtained his CPA, and many other companies. His company's been recognized with a listing on the Inc. 5000. He's also received a DSA Rising Star Award, and recently DSU recognized the company as one of the companies with 3 consecutive years of growth. I'm very excited to welcome Roger Morgan, founder and CEO of pawTree. Roger, thank you so much for being here.
Oh, I'm happy to be here, Wayne. Thank you.
I've had the chance to have some conversations with you, offline, especially even recently. Full disclosure, I am a pawTree customer. I love the products. My dogs love the products, and you do such an incredible job with the personalization, the packaging. Everything is just such an incredible experience.
That means the world to me. Thank you. Glad we get another happy customer.
Oh, absolutely. Yes. And I need to go, I've been meaning to go put my reviews online. So I need to go do that for you, but thank you again for everything. Can you tell us a little bit about what led you from the path of, that really amazing and kind of classical management consulting, working with some of the largest brands in the world, to starting your own direct selling company?
It's a great question. It's actually one of the questions I get asked most frequently. And the other little piece to the backstory that causes people to really wonder why I did that is because before I founded pawTree, I actually was the CEO of another pet products company. And in that company, we sold pretty much completely through retail stores. We were the Walmart Vendor of the Year twice. We were one of PetSmart and Petco's top vendors. I was on the PetSmart Charities board for about 8 years and vice chairman of PetSmart Charities. We sold through Target and all the independent pet shops. And so when people say, when you left that and started pawTree, why didn't you sell your products through retail stores? Why did you, decide to make it a direct selling company? And I would say there's really 3 reasons why I did that. The first has a lot to do with the way that the customer makes decisions, the pet customer. The second is really, I guess, the need to control the quality of my products in order to reach the vision that I had for pawTree. And the third is just the white space that it created that I just saw a big opportunity. So happy to elaborate on any of those as we move forward. But those are the reasons why I decided to not sell through any retail stores and 9 years ago, 10 years ago, start a business in the direct selling space, which at the time I had no experience, and now I've got a decade of experience with.
That's really cool. There is such an interesting transition there. And as you know, the levers, as I've worked with retail brands over the years, the levers are very different. And so there is a little bit of getting up to speed within the direct selling category. But you talked a little bit about the white space there, and that's where I'd love for you to elaborate a little bit more. You and I have had some conversations around this in the past. And one of the things that always really struck me was how you went about identifying this opportunity for pawTree. Again, you come from that very classical management consulting, which is an amazing foundation for any career, really digging in and understanding the strategy and the process. And so I know you went through that process, digging in on the channel, the consumer, the competition to find that white space. Can you talk a little bit about kind of the concept and the importance of finding white space, whether it's launching a company or launching a product?
Yeah, no, I'd be happy to. And it really, as you mentioned, I think the training for knowing how to do that did come from my management consulting days. A lot of times when I was at BCG, we would work for big clients that had lots of resources, big teams, lots of competent, talented, smart people. And when we would get brought in, it was usually to help them solve some type of a problem, or they were stuck with something. And so a lot of times we found it was helpful to take the problem that our client was trying to solve and look to analogs outside of their industry, outside of their space, to see, is there any place in business, worldwide, where somebody struggled with a similar problem, maybe in a different space, and we could find some ideas or some similarities to bring back into this space. And that's what I was doing with pawTree before I founded it. I had seen an opportunity to really make a big impact in the lives of pets and people through better quality nutrition for pets. And I had a vision for what that product line would look like, what were the core products in the line, what kind of efficacy we would need in those products to make the impact that I wanted to make on the lives of pets and then, people as a result of that. And so I saw that opportunity, but the challenge I was struggling with is how would I get consumers to change their behavior and try our products? Because one of the things that's great about people with pets is they're very loyal to especially their pet food. And so the good news if you sell pet food is once you get them, you got them. The bad news if you sell pet food and you're a brand new brand is how do you ever get them? And so I was wrestling with that a bit and knew that just taking a product into a retail store and putting it on a shelf was not going to get people to necessarily try it and buy it off the shelf. And so I started thinking about those analogs. Where in other businesses have people have companies done a great job of getting people to open up their mouth and tell other people about the products? And because I knew in the pet space from the research that we'd done over the years of the experience I had in the pet space, that there are two resources people will generally listen to when it comes to their pets. The first is their vet, and the second is actually their friends, their family, people they know and trust who have pets. And that's where I started looking. I thought, okay, where out there in other branded consumer products land have people done a good job in getting friends and family to open up their mouths and share with other people who they know and trust their products? And that's when the light bulb went on. I thought, wait a second, there's a whole industry that I later found out was over $40 billion just in this country alone, the direct selling industry. And the pet industry, which I knew was over $100 billion just in this country alone. And nobody put the two of those together in a compelling way. And that was the white space that the light bulb went on. And I said, wow, this is a huge idea. And that was the beginning of, I didn't decide at that moment to do it, but that was the beginning of me really digging in to understand this industry, to decide, is this a space that I want to basically make that bet with pawTree? And there's one other thing that's super important, if you don't mind if I just share it.
Please.
Because it was another really important catalyst for me to decide to move into the direct selling, space with this, this product idea, this, product line idea of premiumization for pets with nutrition. And that is that it was essential for me to own my own quality, to be in control of my own quality of the product, because a huge part of this vision is to make an impact on the lives of pets and people. And I couldn't do that through the product line I was creating unless I knew I could maintain the quality. And one of the experiences I had just been in the middle of over the past almost decade as CEO of another pet products company that was selling through retail stores is the power those retailers have in over their the brands, the products that are sold through their stores. Some of those retailers I mentioned were 40% of our annual sales, or 25% of our annual sales, or 10% of our annual sales. Big retailers that control a lot of power when it comes to our products getting distributed to customers. And so what I watched happen with our company and many others over the years, we didn't sell pet nutrition, but we sold other pet supplies. And I watched those retailers through always demanding lower prices. Every year they want lower prices, lower prices, lower prices. And eventually, we all know what that does. Eventually, you end up cutting corners and making compromises with the quality of the product in order to lower the cost. And maybe not the first year, because maybe the first year you take less profits, or you find a creative way to innovate and do something differently for less money. But over time, that's what happens. And there's always somebody in the big box retail channel. There's always somebody behind you waiting to take your shelf space the moment that you're not willing to step up and do what a retailer wants you to do. So it was really important to me to own and control the quality of our products and not be pressured over some number of years to compromise on the quality of the products. And that was another thing that for me was white space. Like I wouldn't have known in my previous company how to do that with those big retailers controlling so much of the power. And this allowed me to control that power by not having any one customer represent more than even 1% of our sales. I can, honestly do what's right for the brand, right for the pet, right for the customer, and in the end, build the vision that we have at pawTree.
I think that's really cool. I love that this discovery and strategy process led you into direct selling, and I really love the reasons and rationale that led you to a channel that you hadn't really operated in before. I've worked with clients, some large CPG brands, and it is amazing. The impact and the influence that retailers can have, that intermediary where in times past, you didn't even have access to consumer data. You weren't able to talk to the end user. And that is one of the amazing things about direct selling, and a lot of what's happening in the direct to consumer world as well, where you now have the ability to have more control over the messaging, more interaction and intimacy with the end user. And I love also, I think it speaks a lot to your leadership style, that quality was such a huge focus for you. It wasn't just about, hey, what's the most profitable way to go to market and, have the best bottom line, but it was really about providing the best product and best brand to the consumers. I think that speaks volumes. I'd love to ask you just one more question as it relates to white space. What do you feel, or how can other executives and direct selling individuals, what can they learn from this concept of white space? I've been at companies in and out of direct selling where I feel like we live at two opposite ends of a spectrum, where it's these really great, innovative new products that burst onto the market, and direct selling is the best way to go to market for that. And then I feel, obviously, and it's not just direct selling, it's a lot of areas too, there's that fast follower, kind of that me too, here's a hot product, let's just pull it into the portfolio because we'll be able to sell a lot of it. Can you talk a little bit more about kind of white space and what people can learn as they launch into new products and new categories?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from my experience, I think both are needed. Sometimes it's great to be a fast follower, and there's a lot of times that that I think we all do that, and I think we'd be foolish not to do it if there's something that's working out there and others are they found it first. I mean, to be a fast follower can also be a good strategy, and to do it quickly. But to your point, we can't always rely on somebody else to find the innovation and find the white space. And sometimes a fast follower. There are still competitive advantages of being the first mover, and that usually requires finding your own white space. And one of the things I would just suggest to management teams, executives, is to be inquisitive, be curious, and be always learning, and look around to other industries for analogs. And sometimes you might have one piece of the puzzle, and the other piece of the puzzle that creates the white space is someplace else outside of your own industry, outside of your own product line, outside of the areas that you're normally researching or looking at the competitive landscape. In our case, I had the product idea. I basically took two things that already existed and put them together, and that's what created the white space. So it doesn't always have to be brand new innovation from the bottom up. In my case, it was taking a premium approach to nutrition for pets. That was 10 years ago quite innovative, quite unique, but I wasn't the only one that had that idea of premium products for pets and kind of a complete nutrition approach to pets 10 years ago, among the first. But when I layered that with and taking that through a sales channel of direct selling, that's where the white space was very evident, and both industries were large enough to support, hey, that's a big idea that nobody's cracked the code on yet. And that was the opportunity why I left my company as a CEO previously to start this one, because that white space was really exciting and really compelling.
Thank you for that. I hope all the marketing and brand and product people take a moment to go back and rewind what you just said, the last 60 seconds a few times, because it is such an incredible and powerfully strategic element to go look at these analogs in other categories and put them together to create something new. It doesn't have to be, as you mentioned, this complete grounds up innovative process, but you can create something new by taking elements in the best of other areas. And I've heard people talk about, make sure you take at least a couple of these elements and have them become really well known and associated with your brand. It's easy for a competitor to come in and kind of replicate one, but when you start getting into 2 or 3 of these elements that you become known for, it creates something totally different. Again, I know it's slightly cliche, but I was recently watching a YouTube with the founders of Method, and they were talking about how they, pulled in some of the design elements from beauty. They had the natural from others, created something that, a home product that you used to hide under your counter now became this thing that you were very proud to display. So created something very new by looking to other categories for these elements, these footholds to pull in. So again, thank you for sharing that. I think that's super, super powerful. And I'm also going to go back and listen to that multiple times. You also took the time in the beginning, not only to do a really strong kind of strategic discovery process, but also then shifting into the definition process of who the brand is, what its values are, how it's different, who you are. Yeah. Can you talk a little bit about the importance of developing those strong brand strategy elements like vision, and how that plays into the go forward strategy of the company?
I love that question. You actually expressed it a lot more eloquently than most people do to me. Most people just say, what is pawTree? What do you do? And it is kind of tied back into that. What is your vision? What is it that drives us forward, and what is it that makes us unique? And I often will answer that by telling people, some people mistakenly think that what we do at pawTree is sell pet products, or sell pet stuff, or sell pet nutrition, or even sell premium pet nutrition. And while all of those are, I guess, directionally true, it's not at the heart of what we do or why we do it. And what we do in terms of our vision statement is we create a world filled with unconditional love where pets and their people thrive. That's our vision statement, and that's what drives me, the other associates in our home office team, our pet pros. It's a vision that is so much more than selling a product. And it really does come to life as people get to know us and our brand. You mentioned at the beginning, Wayne, that you're a customer. I suspect that you probably have a sense for that vision statement, how it comes to life in your pet family's life. We make an impact in pets' lives through better nutrition, excellent choices, the health and the happiness of pets elevates. And when it does, that pet parent feels good about the choices they're making for their pet. They have that strengthened human-animal bond because I'm doing something for you that you can't do for yourself. And I'm seeing the results of those decisions. And that makes me feel good. It makes me feel good to see my pet happy and healthy. It makes me feel like a good pet parent. I pat myself on the back, good pet parent. I'm making good decisions. I'm doing the right things. And that helps uplift me as a person. When I solve problems that a pet has, itchy skin, bad gas, you name it, and we solve that problem for the household, there's more harmony in the household. You're not dealing with some of those issues. So we literally do, that vision statement, it's not just words on a page. We literally do. Every day we see the impact of that we're creating a world filled with unconditional love where pets and their people thrive. And that was very intentional on my part at the very, very beginning. I had had enough of an exciting and successful career that I wasn't just looking to go make a buck. I wasn't just going to look for a job. I wasn't going to look for a get rich quick. I was looking for something that would be a generational brand that we would make impact in a positive way on the lives of pets and people for generations to come, long after I leave this planet. And by the way, that ties right back to the opening questions that you were asking me about why direct selling. And if I don't control the quality of my product over a long period of time, over 5, 10, 20, 30 years, if I allowed a retail channel or any other influence to erode our product quality, the very core of our vision statement would be compromised. And so I've never lost sight of that through all the inflation that we've all experienced these past few years. We took our prices up. We didn't cut quality. We didn't go back and reformulate and say, let's take some of the goodness out. We said, you know what? People have come to know us and believe in us and stand by our quality promise. And that's what is at the very beginning of the dominoes that make this impact on pets and people's lives. And if we play with that, we're playing with the whole vision. And I'm just not willing to do that.
Well, there's a lot there. I'm going to circle back on a couple of these elements here and dig deep really quickly. First, again, I hope everyone's understanding you're literally kind of giving a masterclass right now on some really important brand strategy dynamics. And I love that your focus is the vision. Focusing on the vision allows you to focus on the emotional benefits. So many of us focus on kind of those functional benefits, and so much of our marketing copy and our messaging is around, well, ours is 30% more this, or ours is 100%. And you literally ladder up from the functional to the psychological to the emotional. And that's where the brand stickiness really happens. Those deep long-term connections with consumers and consultants happen at that emotional level. And luckily we have the opportunity to, whether it's at events and some of these other ways, to really connect emotionally. But I think it's really powerful that you focus on that and what the product ultimately leads and ladders up to. It's not just what the product does or how it tastes or how it's formulated, or we have these 5 great novel ingredients. It's all about the emotional benefit at the end of the day. And I think that's really powerful. And you also talked about solving problems. And I think that's one of the things that really has really contributed to a lot of the pawTree growth. As we mentioned earlier, 3 consecutive years, 40% growth in 2022. I want to touch on some of the elements that you feel have really contributed to that great growth and dig a little bit deeper on kind of solving that customer problem. And one of the things I think that's really interesting that you mentioned is some of these customers aren't even aware that they have a problem. Yeah. And so upstream from a marketing standpoint, not only are you having to make them brand aware and solution aware, but first you have to make them problem aware. Can you talk a little bit about how that impacts your marketing and communications from kind of a customer or consultant funnel?
Sure. No, happy to do it. And by the way, I'll say, even before diving into that, kind of solving that problem, I do think a big contribution to our growth over the 9 years, we've had 9 years of record sales growth every quarter for 9 consecutive years. And I think a big part of that is we have a fantastic team who's not afraid to try new things, not afraid to pivot, not afraid to experiment. And we've done a lot of that over the past 9 years to get us kind of positioned for continued growth. And I can say more about that, but didn't want to leave the opportunity or miss the opportunity to highlight that. I think, a big part of that is having a great team that's willing to collaborate and be open-minded and try new things, especially as a young company. But I think maybe even as important as a mature company, because sometimes we get set in our ways and we kind of think, what's worked in the past is always going to work in the future. And there's some truth to that what's worked in the past can continue to work in the future. But I think just always being open-minded and having a team that challenges each other, that's not afraid to experiment and try new things and learn quickly and fail quickly and move on to something else when they don't work is all really an important part of our growth story. But let's go to the specific question that you asked about these solutions and how do we help consumers identify sometimes that they even have a need. We have one of the things that's amazing about the pet consumer is that they care deeply about their pets. At least our consumer does. Our pet customer cares very deeply about their pets. They consider them members of their family.
Absolutely.
Right. I mean, I know you
Yeah.
do. I know I do. And, not every pet household considers their pet a member of their family, but that's okay. Our customer considers their pet a member of their family. And so sometimes we find that people are, there's a whole spectrum. Sometimes we find people who know that they have a problem or a concern or an issue with their pet, and they're desperately trying to find a solution and they just can't find it. Other times we find people who just they just think, those issues, that's just part of owning a pet, bad gas, itchy skin, allergies, bad breath, people just say, oh yeah, loose stool, I got to pick up. I mean, pets have sensitive stomachs. I guess that's just what I have to deal with. But I'm willing to deal with it because this is a member of my family and it's worth it, and part of our opportunity, which is so fun to help people recognize, is that almost all of those issues that we deal with our pets, certainly all the ones I just listed, and there's a whole, laundry list, longer list than that. Almost all of the time, we can address those with better nutrition. And it doesn't have to be a surgery. It doesn't have to be just deal with it. It doesn't have to be an antibiotic or some, expensive treatment. Most of the time, our nutrition choices can affect those things that we actually either think are issues or we just assume is part of pet ownership.
That's really interesting. I want to talk about another interesting dynamic as it relates to that category specifically, and a couple others as well. And not to go too deep into semantics, but I want to talk about customer versus consumer. So you are in this category where you don't market directly, obviously, to the pet, to the end consumer.
That's right.
But you market to the family member, the customer, the person that's actually going to go in and make that purchase and all of those considered purchase decisions. Can you talk a little bit about this dynamic and how that also impacts some of your marketing?
Yeah, it actually, I will say it's actually probably one of our challenges, because I think I'll take a beauty product or something that people use and they see the result for themselves. I mean, let's face it, it's kind of a natural human tendency to be selfish, self-centered, to, what's in it for me. And so when it's a product that you can see a result on your own life quickly, I think it's an easier product to sell, frankly. And with a pet product, we have to convince a pet parent to make a decision to spend on a premium product that's going to impact another member of their family. And so it's a challenge, but it's also one of the things that again, back to, your question about growth and one of the things that's wonderful about the pet industry and the pet customer is they typically, when you find a solution that works and you find a food that works, people will stick with it for a very long time. And so it can be a little bit of a harder initial sell, and then it has a much longer tail. Once you get a customer, you have them for a long time. But it can be, your point is well taken. It can be a little bit more difficult to have to talk to the customer who's going to, pay for the product, and they may not be the one. They hopefully do see the results and they experience the results alongside their pet. But boy, that pet, I can assure you, if we could get a microphone and interview the pet, how do you feel 30 days after trying these pawTree supplements? Or how do you feel 30 days after trying this pawTree food? We would get some glowing testimonials from the consumer as well if we had that opportunity.
Oh, absolutely. And I think that probably speaks back to a little bit what we were just talking around focusing on the emotional benefits. You can reinforce and kind of close the deal with those functional, but
right.
To really drive people to action and understanding for someone that they're purchasing a product for someone else really comes down to, I think, a lot of that emotional messaging. I was going to say messaging like it almost sounds artificial, but sincerely communicating those emotional benefits.
Yep.
Now, a word from our premier supplier sponsors. Are you a part of a brand that is looking for a hassle-free and efficient way to handle your order fulfillment? Look no further than QuickBox. QuickBox is the ultimate solution for all of your fulfillment needs. With their state-of-the-art technology and lightning-fast service, QuickBox ensures that your orders are processed, packed, and shipped accurately and on time, every time. Say goodbye to fulfillment headaches and say hello to QuickBox. Visit quickbox.com for more information. That's QUICKBOX.com and experience the fulfillment revolution today. For 30 years, InfoTrax has developed exceptional software solutions. Their cloud-based platform offers everything customers need for a successful compensation plan. Their commission calculator, web-based development portal, data subscriptions, commission management, health monitoring displays, and support team are here for you. You may have heard recently that InfoTrax partnered with BigCommerce, a flexible software-as-a-service platform to help you grow and convert more customers. BigCommerce equips you with fast-scaling e-commerce success with e-commerce tools and customizable storefronts that fit your brand. And the user-friendly interface empowers you to make changes with clicks, not code, to improve productivity and reduce costs. Visit infotraxsys.com. That's infotraxsys.com to learn more. Now let's get back to the interview with Roger Morgan, founder and CEO of pawTree.
As part of your efforts to help people and pets, I think pawTree does an amazing job of helping people along their different journeys, depending on which audience it is. And you've really been able to leverage technology. Can you talk a little bit about kind of that algorithm and the tool that kind of helps the reps educate and really just get going and get started quickly?
Absolutely. I think there's a phrase many of us have heard in our industry, help your reps be the messenger, not the message. Right. And that's what's more duplicatable. If they can be the messenger, but not have to actually know exactly how to say it or what to say or to be the authority on it, tee them up in a way that they can be the deliverer of the message. And so I think that's something that we've done really well with technology. What you're referring to is what we call our pet profile. And so we empower our reps, our pet pros, to go out and have these conversations. We help them, connect and inspire, with something that's in common, their pets. They can show a photo, they can talk about pets. It's a really easy conversation starter. And then as we help them, our pet pros, to educate and guide that new customer, that new prospect, a tool that we have that's been remarkable. We had it when we launched, and we are just launching a new and improved version right now this summer. But is our pet profile. And so what that allows the customer to do, that pet parent, they can go in and create a pet profile for their pet or all the pets in their pet family. They put their age, their weight, their breed, any allergies, any issues that they're aware of. And with that, we then have an algorithm that we've developed with our PhD in animal science and pet nutrition, with several veterinarians, with other nutritionists, formulators. And that algorithm basically takes all of those inputs and says, okay, based on everything you told us about your pet, we will dial in a recommendation that recommends one of the pawTree proprietary recipes of food, one or more pet supplements, nutritional supplements, some healthy treats, and we basically serve up a nutrition plan that says, we know with certainty how many days you're going to, how many days it will take to go through this food. So we'll tell you, set this up on a 30-day or 47-day or 61-day cycle. They set up that nutrition plan. It gets delivered to their home. And I know with confidence that we're going to make an impact on that pet's life, because they know the pet better than anybody else. And they told us what issues and what the situation is with their pet. We know better than anybody else. We have that whole panel of people. It's almost like a virtual consult with that huge round table of experts, because when they give us all the information about their pet, we've got that algorithm that says, okay, based on all of that, here's what we recommend. And so we have a 100% money back guarantee, because all I want is for people to try it. I want people to just put in the information in the pet profile, to see what's recommended, try it, and see if you get results, because I know you will. And if you don't, we'll give you all your money back. Keep all the product. It was a sample. Consider it a sample, and that happens so rarely. The impact is always so profound, and often, like I said, it might be an issue somebody already knows about that they've been having, and they see the impact of that. Sometimes it's something that people didn't even know until they filled out the pet profile. Oh, my pet's itching. Is that something that can be addressed? Oh, my pet has bad breath. Is that something that can be addressed? And it's really fun to be able to dial in a recommendation that you have confidence is going to work, and just say, trust me, or trust the person that invited you to fill out this pet profile. Just trust us, try it. And best case, we change your life and your pet's life forever. And worst case, you got, 30 days or whatever of free products to try as a sample.
Absolutely. It was, and I can tell you from the customer perspective, it was super helpful, really cool to go through that experience, especially as literally a first-time dog owner. Our family, this was the first time we ever bought dogs. And then we 6 months later doubled up with another one.
I love it.
Having no clue what they need or any issues they would have or were having, it was really helpful to kind of go through that. And also the level of personalization that comes out of that was really cool from the customer experience standpoint. Along that same line, I want to talk a little bit about maybe some of the marketing automation, some of the paid social efforts. I know you've kind of dialed up some of these efforts from a marketing perspective. Can you chat about what you're doing, the impact that it's had on AOV, LTV, and even how the field perceives some of these marketing efforts coming from corporate versus coming from them?
Yeah, happy to. And I would say this is a work in progress for us. I think this is an area that we know we have done quite a bit, and we know we have a lot more that we can do and that we want to do. It's one of the things that's so wonderful about having the customer relationship. Kind of we sell through these pet pros and sell through reps, but all of the data about their pets, all the data about their order frequency, their AOV, et cetera, we have access to, and when we can really do a great job with marketing to those audiences based on the information that we have. So I'll tell you some of the things that we're doing right now, and there's a lot more that we can do, I would say. But one of the things that we just very recently implemented is an abandoned cart kind of a email drip. So when somebody is in our shopping cart and they might have talked to one of our pet pros at an event, or had a private consultation with them to go through this pet profile, or whatever the circumstances, and they ended up with something in their cart, but they didn't check out. We have a series of emails that go to them and say, hey, you left this in your cart. Would you like to complete the order? And if they don't, complete there, we have another one that goes later that explains, hey, your cart's going to be empty here soon if you'd like to place your order. So that's a way of helping our pet pros to close, to get a customer to make that decision, get the order placed, get the products shipping. That's one thing we're doing. Another is basically our new customer drip campaign. So when somebody recently purchases a product, we want to help them. We want to start from the very beginning, helping them feel confident about their decision, even before they receive the product. So we have communication that goes to them both from our home office in a drip series that takes them, from before they get the product to receiving the product to after receiving the product, to help validate and just confirm for them that purchase decision to buy a premium product and how good it feels. We also have within about the last year, we've partnered with a company that allows us to be very communicative during the shipping process, the order fulfillment and shipping and delivery process. So if customers want to opt into text messages or email messages, they can get updates about, your product has left the warehouse, your product is, has been shipped, your product is either on its way to be delivered or has been delivered. And so just being overly communicative to the customer along that journey, both in terms of just order fulfillment so that they know what's happening, but also to just kind of I guess reinforce that you made a good decision, and along that way to hopefully that they'll continue to make that decision on and on. Because we find that if somebody will order our product 3 times, we probably have them for not just the life of their pet, but for their life, because most people, when their pet passes, will get another pet. And so if we can get somebody to order 3 times, we have a very long retention tail of repeat purchases, which again goes back to the growth that we've experienced, because a very steady customer base, it's a lot easier to build on that month after month for us as a company, and for our reps, for the pet pros. They get a customer base installed, and then that base, as they add new customers, their base is steady once they get them past about those first 3 shipments.
Yeah, it's amazing the impact that you can have just driving sales, helping your pet pros, your consultants, driving additional sales volume for them. It isn't conflict. It's not an us versus them. It's really a great way to partner. I think you guys have done an amazing job with that. There's awesome platforms out there. HubSpot, Klaviyo, again, you can mention, you don't have to mention if you want some of those marketing automation platforms that are out there, but they can do an amazing job at really improving a lot of those key metrics. They have a huge impact. Think of it pre and post purchase. Yeah. What are some of the main touch points or decision points on kind of each side of that coin? I think can have a huge impact.
Totally agree. And again, this goes back to just having a great team that's willing to experiment and try things. We're doing a lot, but there's a lot more that I know our team wants to do and is planning to do. So it's a fun space to just continue learning and continue trying and continue helping the field in the ways that we have a better ability to do and more scale to do. We can do that for all of our pet pros all at once and automate it. And there's a lot more like that we can do. I mean, I'll give you one other, just a quick example that we just started dabbling with, but it's so powerful. When people fill out that pet profile, we know the issues that pet has. We know if they have, for example, itchy skin. I'll use that as an example. We also then can cross, we can look at that data versus our order history, and we can cross compare to see, has a person that said their pet has itchy skin, have they ever tried our wild Alaskan salmon and pollock oil that is a really great supplement to help with itchy skin? And if we find that they haven't, we can target those people and say, hey, does we can even use their name if they put their name, does Fluffy have itchy skin? We already know she does. They already told us. Mm-hmm. Fluffy have itchy skin. Have you ever tried, considered, this solution to help? And we can target those consumers even with a coupon if we need to. So we've just started dabbling with some of that type of direct, marketing, with the database mining, tapping into that really powerful pet profile database that we have with a lot of information about pets.
I love that. That's really powerful. Again, the more customer information, customer data, customer insights you're able to obtain, the better, more personalized, and more effective your marketing and communications are going to be. I think that's really great. So a little bit along those lines, I want to touch on Amazon. You were definitely one of the earliest to the game, if not maybe the first, in direct selling. Can you talk a little bit about how you think about Amazon, or using it brand protection, brand awareness, driving sales? What do you feel the primary objective is, and has that changed over the last few years?
It's a great question. And yeah, we did. I think it's been 4 years ago, we decided to, move forward with a foot and maybe a toe in the water on Amazon. And we've expanded our product line a little bit since then. But, it really is all 3. You mentioned, what's the role of Amazon? Is it brand protection, brand awareness, or driving sales? And I would say, yes, it's all 3. because we're a younger company and because we started this, so many years ago, I would say it was less for the defensive brand protection because we had a big mess to clean up. Like I know a lot of companies do. They're like, wow, we've got a big mess out there and we got to clean it up. We didn't have a mess, but we didn't want the mess that we heard so many other companies were having. So it was definitely brand protection kind of, I'd say proactively, not reactively. But it was also very much, and we were clear about this with our field, it was very much also for brand awareness. When that statistic, whatever it is, over 60% of consumer purchases originate on Amazon with people Googling it on Amazon. And we're a new brand with an amazing solution that most pet parents have never even heard of us. And we're 9 years in, we couldn't just sit and wait for other ways to find consumers. We got to go out and help consumers know of our brand, know we exist. And so it also was very much about brand awareness, being there where the people are searching for solutions for their pet problems. And then, of course, the fact that we could control our price, which we do. I know you've had some great podcasts on, Amazon strategies. I won't try to get into all that, but we certainly, I'd say embrace all or most of all of those best practices. We control the price, sell at a higher price on Amazon than we do our website. And so, if people want to buy on Amazon, we do sell on Amazon and we do see it as a sales channel, but it's a small, percentage of our sales, but we want them to be able to buy when they find the solution. And then, hopefully they also, they actually do Google us and they find our website and they find, that we have a breadth of other products. And whether they buy or not through their exposure to Amazon, one of the things that certainly helps is when our pet pros later approach somebody who has never, when they approach somebody who's never heard of pawTree, it's always a little bit of an uphill battle. And when you approach somebody who has heard of pawTree, maybe they've even tried one or two of the products because they saw it on Amazon and tried it. It's a much easier conversation to say, oh, look, I've got all these other products and have you tried our pet profile? Let's take you there and see what's recommended. And the conversation goes easier. So we're using it for all of the above. And I would say having success with all of the above, we've been able to completely protect our brand on Amazon. We've had essentially zero incidences, and I suspect we won't have because we've shut all of that down from the very beginning. We certainly are getting more brand awareness from Amazon, and we're getting some sales from Amazon, and all of those are contributing to the overall strategy of why we chose to go there about 4 years ago.
That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing your experiences and your insights on that. So shifting from Amazon to affiliate, one of the buzzwords right now in direct selling for sure. And there's always been elements of affiliate or what would be considered affiliate today within direct selling. I'm curious, what are your thoughts around kind of this push to go more affiliate? Companies are adding layers or elements in the commission structure. What are you seeing and what are some of your thoughts on that?
I have a lot of thoughts on that. We've got a very active strategic project in our company right now looking at that. One of the things I know this might feel like semantics, but we are deliberately calling it our next generation strategy as opposed to calling it an affiliate model. I think sometimes what we've observed in some other companies when they talk about affiliate is they change the name or they introduce a title into their comp plan and they call it an affiliate, or they put on their website, affiliate, but they don't really make any other changes to the way they do business, or maybe they make a comp plan change, but they don't do any other changes to, the tools or the processes or the onboarding approach or the sales process that they use or the training or anything else. And so I think, for us internally, we're just deciding to call it our next generation strategy. How do we attract and appeal and retain that next generation of sellers? And it's certainly, the things that we think about as affiliate are part of it, but it's only a little bit of it, changing a comp plan or using those words. And so we have a lot of thoughts. We actually just changed our compensation plan and our simple sharing system and our onboarding process and our fast start rewards. We changed all four of those effective April 1 of this year. And it was all in an effort to take a step in the direction of supporting that next generation of seller and attracting them and helping them find something that would be interesting for them to be part of. So, for example, on the compensation piece, we now have our retail commission for anybody, whether they consider themselves an affiliate or not. For anybody who comes in and wants to share our products, they get a 15% base commission, no matter if they're building a team or no matter what their volume is or anything else. And if it's a new customer, they get an additional 15%. So they make 30% on first-time customers. And I think that compensation is certainly as good or better than any affiliate model inside or outside of the direct selling space. I mean, even if you look outside of direct selling, those affiliates who earn commissions by sharing links are not getting 30% on first-time orders and 15% on ongoing orders. So we have a really compelling compensation plan. But the reason that that's not just a one and done project for us is we've got a lot of work to do to appeal to that next generation of seller. The way we talk to them, the words we choose, the way we do training. We've got an incredible training. We call it pawTree University, and it's incredible. And it will train anybody who wants to learn this business can be trained in it. However, our task force that includes some of those, Gen Zers in our task force in this strategic project, they're saying, hey, that's not the way we want to be trained. So it might be a great training program. It might have everything that can teach us, but it's not the way it's the videos are way too long. The way that you're, talking, even in some of the word choice, it doesn't connect with our generation. And so we've got to look at all of that. It's not just about changing a comp plan. It's about giving them the tools they need, speaking the language they speak, giving them the training they want in the way they want it at the time they want it. There's a lot more involved. So you're going to see us make a lot of changes. This isn't a one and done project. We've made some big changes in April. We've got a lot more that will be rolling out over the next 12 plus months. And I suspect we'll never stop learning and trying to appeal to the next generation of sellers, whether that's this decade or next decade.
Right. Absolutely. I think that's such an important point. What you just kind of outlined is one of the reasons why I'm so excited about what's happening in direct selling and where direct selling will be in the next 10 years. Never has there been a generation that is so open and used to sharing products with friends, families, or followers. And as you mentioned, they just might do it slightly different, but we have this incredibly captive generation of new incoming distributors that are just so incredibly down with direct selling, whether they define it that way or not. I'm curious, what are a few of the other changes over the last 9 years since you've been in it, having kind of, maybe little insight into direct selling to, you've been heads down, doing an amazing job of scaling and growing a company within the channel. What are some of those other changes that you're seeing besides affiliate?
Well, if I go back to the beginning, at the very beginning, I thought we would be more of a party plan. And so we launched with a whole assortment of products that I thought would be more interesting to shop at a party. Beautiful, luxurious beds and bright and fun collars and, toys and certainly our nutrition I knew would be at the core because that's the consumable and that's where we have the highest impact on the pet. But we launched with a whole breadth of products that after several years, we realized, we're really not. I think part of it is the way the industry was going. People were not as excited about going to parties. And I know there are some party plan companies that still do great to this day. But I also know there's a lot of headwinds for, parties. And so we just found for us, we were not actually a party plan company. People didn't want to gather as much as we thought they did. I think maybe part of that was our consumer, but part of it was probably just the industry. And so we kind of migrated to more of a, do business in the palm of your hand. How do we empower these pet pros to do business in the palm of their hand, give them the technology they need, the tools they need, the social selling, training they need. And we had made that adaptation before COVID. And so when COVID happened and people were forced to do business from their home, from, their phone, from, remote, we were already really well positioned because we had already pivoted years before that based on, the learnings as we kind of went through the process. And by the way, we have discontinued pretty much all of those products. We don't sell beds anymore or bowls or blankets or collars. we just said, look, that's not, so we had to be open-minded to try things and then open-minded to change with what we learned over time.
Interesting. So from a product standpoint, focusing more on those consumables.
Yep.
Those monthly purchases. That's interesting.
That's right. And we really decided that we're more of a consultative sell. It'd be great if all pets had the same problem and we had one product that would fix that problem. It would make our messaging super simple. And, if we ever find that problem and that solution, I'm sure we'll market it, and I'm sure we'll invent it. But what we have found in our business is almost all pets have one or more issues, but the issues that they have are varied. And so you can't have a one size, fits all answer to a plethora of different problems or issues out there. And so that's partly back to this pet profile. We talked about having a path to help a pet pro assess the needs for that particular pet. But our solutions are varied. Our sales process is it's a consultative sale. Let's help you figure out what the right solution is for your pet. And so those are all things that we had to kind of adapt and learn over time. And that takes us back to what you said. We really are focusing on the consumable nutrition part of our product line, and have discontinued some of the other things many years ago to focus on that, and where we really see the value to the pet parent, and therefore the value to the pet pro, to the rep, because that's how they find and attract and retain customers.
Interesting. I think those are great insights that apply to all of us as we're considering our product portfolios, what to introduce, what to rationalize. So I'm sure that there's people listening that are considering starting a direct selling company, whether they're already within the industry or those coming in. What advice would you have for somebody that's launching a direct selling company today with your amazing 9 years of wisdom under your belt right now?
I would absolutely, the most important thing you could do is to surround yourself with people who have been there, done that. So whether that's advisors, whether that's team members, whether that's suppliers, the industry is mature, it's exciting, it's successful. There's a lot of people who can help you come up to speed faster and maybe avoid some of the mistakes that you otherwise would make. I was really blessed to have some great mentors in the space, and also team members who have just incredible experience. And so I think we certainly had our share of problems and challenges, and still have, 9 years in. But I think we avoided a lot of the serious mistakes that we could have made, or we avoided wasting a lot of time that we could have wasted if we didn't just have people who really, I just tried to surround myself with people who had a lot more experience than I did, smart people, diligent people, connected people. And I think relationships is, it's the name of the game for direct selling, for our reps, for our pet pros. Relationships is core to our business model, but I'd say relationships is core if you're going to start a direct selling company. Tap into your relationships and network and get connected to some people who can help you to avoid some of those landmines, because they're out there.
Absolutely. I love that. So last question, you've been super generous with your time. One more question, and then we'll let you off the hook. What do you feel is the greatest leadership lesson you've learned as an entrepreneur? Again, you were very much kind of an inside, working a corporate gig, going into an entrepreneurial role that must have been, a huge transition mentally, emotionally, all of those things. What do you feel is the greatest leadership lesson you've learned as an entrepreneur?
Well, I think it connects back to that previous advice, surrounding yourself with talented people, smart people, tenacious people who can be all part of that equation to figure it out. Because as an entrepreneur, by definition, you haven't got it all figured out. It's like one big experiment, and you have a really strong hypothesis, just like a scientist does when they go in to do an experiment. You've got a hypothesis. It's not that you don't have an idea or a clue of what you're doing. You do have probably a very strong hypothesis, but by definition, you haven't got it figured out. You're going out to chart new ground and try it. And so I think surrounding yourself with people who can help you, who are open-minded, who can challenge, each other, not a group of people who are just all, saying yes because that's what they think you want to hear, but people who are willing to challenge one another, do so in collaborative way, in a respectful, professional way, and really try to get to the best answer. And then go back to that, as I mentioned earlier, about the great executive team that we have here at pawTree, and our whole company team, is we're willing to try things and experiment and get out fast and try them fast. Sometimes if it's the wrong idea, you don't want to spend 2 years getting the idea perfect just to find out it was the wrong idea. So we get out fast, we try things fast, and we learn fast, and we either keep going or we pivot and try something else. So I would say those are probably the most important leadership lessons I've learned, is, surround yourself with good people, being open-minded to listening and trying things, experimenting. And maybe the last thing I'll say is, a friend of mine, when I was thinking about starting pawTree, he said, starting a business is like riding a roller coaster. The highs are high, the lows are low, and sometimes they happen moments apart. And that's been true for my pretty much 9 years of leading and growing this pawTree business. It's been exciting, just like a roller coaster is. The highs are high and the lows are low, and sometimes they do happen within the same hour or day of the week. And but it's exciting. And for anybody who's in that boat and wants another entrepreneur to talk to or brainstorm with, I'm happy to be a resource for any of you.
I love that. That's super generous of you. And I think that speaks a lot. Your answer here of the last couple of minutes speaks a lot to the culture there, to your leadership style. Again, that focus on people. It's why pawTree is such an amazing fit into direct selling. It's why you're an amazing direct selling founder and executive. We appreciate all the insights that you've given us today and the time. I look forward to hearing you speak at DSU in the fall. For those listening, make sure you go on to dsu2023.com and you'll have another chance to listen to Roger and gain more amazing insights. Roger, thank you so much for your time today. Thanks for all you do. Look forward to connecting soon.
No, you're welcome, Wayne. Nice to be with you.
Thank you for tuning in. Please take a minute to give a rating and review to help Direct Approach continue to provide candid interviews and insights for direct selling corporate executives. And register today for DSU2023.com to join 500 plus of your peers October 11th and 12th for the DSU Fall event in Irving, Texas. Thank you for listening and supporting DSN and the Direct Approach podcast.